Hey guys, real quick before we hop into the video, Trash Talk Academy is back. This is going to be more of a Monday morning motivation. If you guys want to learn more about this, text the word Monday to 518-500-4690 to see what we've been working on. Really excited for you guys to check this out. Now let's hop into the video. What is up, guys? Heath with Lake Champlain Sanitation here, and today with me I have Sam Campbell of IDS Dumpsters and Disposal. He's 26 years old. He's kicking ass down south. Sam, what's going on today, brother? Tell us a little bit about where you're from and what you got going on.
So I'm from Appomattox, Virginia, which I don't know if there's any history buffs on here, but that's where the Civil War ended back in 1865. I started out in March of last year. I was a law enforcement officer and had an unfortunate incident. And due to certain issues, I decided it was in my best interest to leave law enforcement. So I was in the process of purchasing the trailer to do roll-offs, and I was going to do that on the side anyway. And when that happened, I decided I was going to just go for it. So I did. My dad, he's also a building contractor. I helped him out a little bit. And it's been over a year and a half, and I haven't had one single day to help him because I've been busy ever since. So in May, that started in March of 2021. May 1st of 2021, I launched the residential trash pickup, which I learned from your channel. And we started with 50 cans in May 1st. June 1st, we were up to over 100 cans. And then we grew very quickly after that. So
guys, I want to put in here as we get rocking and rolling with this video here. Sam is the reason I have a Ram 5500 compactor. I got to give it up to him. Although it was, I bought it from the under CDL company out in Minnesota. Sam actually gave me a walk around on FaceTime of how the compactor works before I dropped the six figures on it, and give them a little, we'll start from the beginning, Sam, as well. I guess we'll start there first. When you bought your first roll-offs, you have a PJ like I did, correct?
Yes,
okay,
sir.
So you are still running the trailer setup, and let's talk about that trailer setup first, and then we'll get into why you're doing residential trash and how you're doing it at such a professional high level from a spot where I didn't go Packer until 500 stops. You guys are 600 almost. Most of you guys know that. But let's start out beginning with the roll-offs. What kind of, how'd you buy it? How'd you get financed or pay cash for it? How'd all that work? And what are you pulling it with? And we're going to put some pictures in here as well, guys, of Sam's setup. So go ahead with that, bud.
So when I first bought the roll-off, I was towing it with a 89 Dodge Ram 2-wheel drive diesel truck. It would beat you to death. The suspension is about like a wagon. I ran that for about a month and a half. And I saved up enough to buy a 2004 Chevrolet Duramax. And that was right before I started the trash pickup. And my dad helped me tremendously get the trailer. He had some money that he put down for a down payment, and he got it financed. We financed a portion, but put down a big portion, and we got the trailer and 3 dumpsters immediately. Now we've seen we were talked about it. We've had dump trailers for years for his business, and we had talked about buying 1 or 2 more dump trailers and doing it that route. And I told him, we both agreed that with the potential for growth, it was smarter for us to spend just a hair more and get the roll-off trailer for growth purposes. So that was what we decided to do. And we ended up getting it in Richmond, Virginia. And it was just 3 dumpsters with a bumper pull trailer. And
do you remember what that setup ran at the time of you buying it?
It was, so like I said, it's just a bumper pull. There's no wireless remotes. It was the 7K axles. The each dumpster had its own tarp on it. It didn't have a power tarp or anything crazy. And I think it was around 27,000 for the
Okay.
trailer, 3 dumpsters at the time.
Yep.
Um, but we've done quite a bit of upgrades to it now. So
Yep.
uh,
And currently did you purchase a second trailer? Or are you still running the one trailer?
I'm in the process of purchasing a second trailer right now. It's from, I guess you could say, is my competition, but he's friendly competition. He is switching to another standard rail trailer, so he's getting rid of a Max D trailer that he has and 3 dumpsters.
That'll put you at, what's your total going to be? What are you going to be?
That'll put us at 9 dumpsters.
Okay.
And
Cool.
one of the dumpsters that he has built up into a 20-yarder. So I intend to build up a few more of them into 20-yarders because that's what I get most of my calls for. And today in the market here, 20-yard dumpsters is the thing.
Now, if I remember correctly, you came up with a creative way to offer a couple sizes with your current dumpsters, right? Do you have the removable sides?
I do not have the removable sides yet. With the Max D dumpsters that I have, they have the stake pockets down the sides.
Okay.
I'm going to build those and put those on it.
Awesome.
But that's in progress.
Okay. Yep. Very good. Very good. I know Sam and I talk back and forth quite a bit, guys. Like I said, he's given me on the Packer side of things. I mean, anything that I have a question about, he seems to have already done it. So he's a few months ahead of me using it. So it's really beneficial to me there. But let's talk numbers. I mean, what are you trying to hit number wise, like of dumpster rentals? Do you have like a sales goal at all, or?
Not 100%. I try to get 30 rentals a month.
Okay.
If I can get 30 rentals a month, which I have 6 roll-offs now. And so if each dumpster is rented out at least 5 times throughout that month, then I'm super happy. This time of year, I know weather's a little different here than where you're at, but this time of year is when things start to slow a little bit. You start getting that first wintertime slack where you get some stuff sitting around. It's been abnormally warm this week, so I expect that to change, but we're starting to see that first start of the slowdown for the winter months for the roll-offs right now.
Yep. I think one thing, guys, is the weather. I mean, you being down south, I mean, here it's actually about 70 degrees today, which is like record highs for the Northeast. It was like this a couple of days ago too. But another thing is to keep in mind, and I'm sure you've been thinking about this, Sam, is with all this election stuff, like Christmas presents are being thought of. I think I talked about this with Roberto, even like stuff's getting thought about that's not clean the house out. People's mind, even though the weather's still good, that is like back of mind. Let's do it in the spring. So guys, you know, that this is the purpose of doing these videos is to talk to people all across the country to just get a feel for the market. And it seems like you deal with the same things I deal with, the same things that maybe someone out west deals with. It's just like it is weird. It's unseasonably warm, but it is beginning to get into the holiday season. Although normally we think colder temperatures for the holiday season.
Yep, that's right.
It is kind of weird. So no, very good. Very good. I think 30 rentals a month is stout, especially with is it you and your father, or do you have a part-timer?
It's mainly me. I do have a part-time guy that helps me on the trash route 2 days a week.
Mm-hmm.
He's 68 years old and he's one of the toughest people I've ever met in my life. Especially given everything that he's been through. But my dad does help me, especially on the trash days. If he gets some slack, you know, he'll go run a few roll-offs for me. And that's a big intention as well with the second trailer, as if a big job falls in our lap, then we got 2 trailers and 9 dumpsters to just kill it. We can get a whole lot of running done with the 2 of us.
Oh, for sure.
There's been several jobs that I've had this year that would have been just show stopping to have. So.
Yep. That's good. And you keep reinvesting. I think that's what's so important is we say 30 rentals, and some people that are just doing dumpsters may say, well, 30 rentals, how does that keep you busy? Well, let's actually talk about how big your trash route is now, because you got to that first 100, but I want to transition now into when you got the Packer, in my opinion, it was so early in the stages, but so smart to do, because you've been able to leapfrog your growth. Not only like I'll show you guys pictures right here. We're going to put pictures into this compactor truck, of course, but let's go on the trash side, because you got a rock and rolling trash business going on right now.
So when we had been picking up trash by hand, and when we did the second grow to 100 cans, that was when my dad started riding with me on the trash day, and we were doing it one day a week, and he was riding with me, helping me out, because it was just too much for one guy. Because the length of the route, it was a 10-hour day. It was a long, hard day by yourself. And so he started riding with me. So we had 10 hours every week to scratch our heads and communicate this. And so we started doing some research, and so I started looking for a used truck. I was like, a compactor truck would be awesome for this. Well, I stumbled across a used compactor truck in North Carolina, and I messaged the owner and was, inquiring about the truck. And he said, well, give me your phone number. So he called me, and Scott has talked about him to you, I'm sure, as well. But I told him about what I was dealing with, what I was wanting to do. And he said, I'm going to be honest with you. He said, the growth that you have, you need to buy a brand new truck. And I was like, man, a brand new truck. And I start scratching my head, and I'm like, that's $125,000. I was like, that's more than I paid for my house. Like, that just doesn't make sense to me to have a truck that is more expensive than your house. And he just told me, he's like, just do it. You'll be fine. Just do it. And I'm like, so me and my dad kept talking. And there's been a lot of things in this business where it feels like it doesn't make sense. And you feel like this might not be the best idea, but if it works out, it's going to be perfect. And that has happened. It's gone perfect a whole lot of times now. And so we started looking for the truck, and we hooked up with Under CDL. That was where he had bought several of his trucks from. And he's in the Charlotte, North Carolina area. The guy I was talking to about the used truck. And he started in 2018. He has over 4,000 cans now, and he does every single one of them with a Under CDL, a Zuzu, or Hino rear loader. One guy in each truck, sends them out every day, and that's how he gets everything done.
8-yard, right? 8-yard body.
All 8-yarders.
Okay.
Just like our trucks. And so I hooked up with Under CDL, started talking up there, and they said that they had some bodies coming in, around late September or so. And this was late August, early September of last year. And so we put a deposit on one. We're like, this doesn't make sense, but we'll figure it out. We're just going to go for it. And I'd gotten up to 135 cans, and it was too much to handle after that. And so I started putting people on a wait list. And that's one thing about my area. There's no competition in a lot of the areas that I'm in. So they either use me or use no one. So I put them on the wait list and started building that up. Well, I had almost 100 people on the wait list. And so me and Dad were thinking, like, this is really growing. So got the call from Under CDL that the body came in for my truck. So they were going to build it. And that was, like I said, late September, early October. And so I was like, sweet, like it's coming. So I got on the phone, and I said, I told my dad, I said, I'm going to call down to Charlotte and get a load of 100 cans. I was like, we're going to need them. So I did. And 2 days before the truck came in, I made a mad dash to Charlotte and hauled 100 cans back, stamped and ready to go. And so we got the truck. The truck came in at 15 minutes to midnight. I think it was October 15th of last year was the day it came in. And we ran it the next Tuesday, ran it fine, did the whole route, which would normally take me 2 dumpsters full and 2 trips. We did it all in one route, still had a third of the truck as far as room. And the next day I dropped off 100 more cans. I doubled the next day, literally. And so we had 235 then, and I counted about 2 weeks ago, and we're over 450 now.
Jeez. Wow.
So,
All within a year,
yep,
basically.
all within a year.
And through this, have you had to, I want to touch on two things because when you said the no competition, what is your service area from a population standpoint? Because a lot of people that do the one-on-one calls with me, they always ask if their area is too saturated. And I just did one this morning with a fella, asking him about his population. What is your serviceable population that you drive to?
So my whole entire area, if you include that, so there's in Appomattox County, there's a town in the center.
Mhm.
I'm not 100% sure of the town population, but I do know that there's GFL has the contract, and there's about 1,200 give or take cans in that town that they service every week. But out in for the entire county, there's about 15 to 16,000 people spread
Okay.
out in 352 square mile county.
Okay.
And we also have the neighboring county, which is Campbell County, headed towards Lynchburg, that we service a decent portion getting into the edge of that county, because that's where our landfill is. So we kind of pave our way to the dump, hitting some of the back roads and stuff while we're headed to the landfill anyway. So that is a very populated area. Campbell County is over just a hair under 600 square miles, but I think last figures, it was 50 to 60,000 people in Campbell County. It's pretty large. There's a lot of neighborhoods, and it's basically the bedroom for Lynchburg City. So it's a lot of.
Let's say someone lives in this town, you live in this town. Are you an advocate of a man with 500 stops and one of these Packards is making a hell of a living if he runs it right?
Absolutely.
Like, I think a lot of people in other businesses, and that's where it's funny. Like, I look at my little business almost like a landscaping business versus this trying to be this big conglomerate garbage company. Like, you know, you talk about landscapers, guys got one or two mow crews, a couple zero turns, and a little tractor, and it's tight. It's tight. It's a 6-figure profit living. It's really good when you actually have it toned in. Right. And that's what I think is so cool about you. I think the only reason, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. I get a lot of this stuff wrong. My mind is mush these days. I think I found you on YouTube because you had one of the first compactor videos on one of these Ram 5500s. And if you guys want to check that out, I'm going to have Sam's YouTube link as well in the description of this, and go watch some of his videos. Cause the last thing that I want to talk about, because him and I have talked literally for hours, and we could talk on here for hours, but I think it would crash my page because I've never uploaded a video that long. But two last things I want to hit on, because you gave us the route density kind of areas of your population. How have your routes changed? And the big elephant in the room that I don't want to go over is, when did you decide to go commercial rear load cans with this small truck? And you just do things with this truck that you should be the salesperson of these trucks, because you know it inside and out. But let's hit on how much did you have to change your routes up? How many days a week are you doing it now? And when did the commercial cans come in?
So Tuesday was our main day of doing trash, when we were doing it all in one day. So we have Route 460 that divides the county right through the middle. And so we knew that when we added the extra 100 cans, we couldn't do it all in a day. It was just because of the distance between cans. It was too much. So I decided to divide it into 2 days at that point. So I did a north route, that's Tuesday, south route on Wednesday. And it hasn't changed much. We're still driving the Tuesday route exactly the same way that we drove it until it's changed a hair, but it's all been route density since then. It's been maybe 10 more miles that we've added on certain areas, because it was certain neighborhoods that other companies weren't doing a good job. So they called us in to get it done right. And so we've stretched in those areas a little bit. The rear load dumpsters was was an interesting thing. I kept having a lot of people calling me here that said, I just have too much trash for a dumpster. I mean, for a normal trash can. I was like, okay, well, they wanted a roll off, a dedicated roll off at their house. And I'm like, oh, I can't do that. I don't have that many of them. And if it's not economical for both of us. So I started doing some research and I found these rear load cans. And I knew that was one reason when I bought the truck. I think it was a $5,000 add-on to get the winch and the attachments on the back. And me and my dad talked about it and we're like, yeah, just go for it. It looks like with the way the lip is on the back, it looks like it would hold trash in the hopper better anyway. So we did. And so I think it was February of this year when we placed the order for the rear load cans, and they came in mid to late March. And I ordered 20 of them. I called the guy and I asked him how many they could fit on a tractor trailer load. And he said 20. And I said, all right, give me 20. So that was what we did. And they came in while they were getting built. I was starting a list of where they were going to go. And I had a list of about 15 of them dedicated. They hit the ground here and it was like everybody changed their mind. It was very discouraging at first because we had them all sitting on the ground, and I think I had 2 or 3 of them out, and I was going to the business. I literally had the dumpster loaded and was taking it to the businesses that said they wanted to sign up for it. And then I get there and they're scratching their heads and they're like, I don't know, we'll let you know. And I'm like, I'm here to drop it off. And they're like, well, we'll let you know. And I'm like, okay, well, if somebody else gets it, like I can't hold it. And they're like, that's fine. Haven't heard another word from them, but all 20 of them are gone. And
Wow.
I got probably 3 or 4 people now that I'm trying to find some more of them.
Building a list for that, dude. That's pretty impressive, scary, but impressive at the same time. What you've done in such small windows of time that's awesome. I mean, before we wrap it up, I want to talk about the future. You thinking another truck? I know you and I have discussed hook lift a little, but I think you're going to stick with a trailer for a while. Like, what's your big? Do you have a big vision for IDS? And if not a big vision, what's your next 12-month goal look like?
I guess I don't I like the long-term thoughts, but I like to throw stuff at what's doing the best at the moment, where it'll grow right there. As soon as it hits the ground, it's gone. And that's when I bought back in May of this year was when I bought this 3 more roll-off dumpsters, and I was dropping them off the day I had them back. They were going places as soon as I had them in here. The trash route is kind of on autopilot. I drive the route 2 days and I have my helper with me. We've gotten ahead on cans. I got almost 100 cans available at the moment to go out. So we're currently figuring out what the next step is. I'm thinking probably the business dumpsters. I'm probably going to be getting more 4-yarders. But I'm not 100% sure. The long term, we want it to grow where my dad can eventually get out of construction and run this with me, because COVID has just ruined the supply market for doing home building. A window that you're going to put in your house used to take 2 weeks to come in. Now it takes 6 weeks, 8 weeks, and it's a standard size. It's not a custom order. It's just standard stuff that you were just waiting, and this house is sitting because you can't do anything else until that comes in. So it's very discouraging. Also with his business, he requires more on the workforce to get things done. It's just impossible for one guy to do everything.
Yep.
And getting people to show up is an obstacle. Nobody wants to do anything anymore. So that's been an obstacle for him. So we're trying to get him transitioned. I'm hoping in the next year or so he'll be fully transitioned. You know, and he might still do some little stuff on the side, but this is going to be the main thing we're hoping.
Now, I don't want to mow over this. You said 2 days. You're doing all those stops in 2 days. You must be dumping twice, right?
Sometimes twice. Yeah,
Oh.
we're dumping twice most of the time. Most of the time we dump once per day.
How many hours does it take you?
Tuesdays we start. We usually start at about 5:45 in the morning, and we usually finish up about 4:15. It's a long day, but a lot of it is driving. It's not much time out of the truck at all. Wednesdays is about 9 hours. So it's our average is Tuesdays is 10.5 hours. Wednesdays is about 9.
So as you guys can see, he's doing over 400 stops in 20 hours with just a part-time helper in one truck. So that's pretty awesome. I've thought about consolidating hours into 3 days, because I think we could do we have almost 700 now. And I think we could do it in 3 days, but we would have to dump an extra time at least 1 or 2 of the days.
Right.
Just because our truck packs out right around like $1.60, 70, depending on, because some of our stops have 6 garbage cans on them.
Right.
So, but no, that's interesting. That's pretty amazing. I've thought about it, because you're already all of our routes are by the dump. So you're saving miles, not having to come all the way back to the shop if you're already there, and you just go out, do another run, and go right to the dump again. So.
Right. And that's something that we're trying to figure out now with, we use the docket software for our business, and they are supposed to be coming out with some form of routing software. And I did all our routes myself. I was law enforcement in this county, so I knew the roads very well. So I just figured out the best way to starting at my house each day. Yep. But we're trying to figure out if there's a better way to do that. And so the routing software, I'm hoping, will maybe answer some questions. It might save us some time here where we are just not considering where we could turn here instead of there. So I'm hoping that will come along, but that's about it.
No, I appreciate you coming on, man. I mean, I've been wanting to do this for a while. I'd like to get Scott, a bunch of people, that it's amazing through the internet. You meet a lot of people, and, if you guys, if I've done a lot of the guys, I want it to be people I've done either the consulting calls with or people I've reached out to, because I don't have enough time in the day I've probably talked to hundreds of people. Eventually we want to do more of this in person if we can get some sponsors on the channel. And I've talked, openly about that. And we're working with a couple companies right now, but nothing's in stone. It's a new space for me. But to come and do it actually in person or do a ride along with you, that's the ultimate goal.
Right.
So,
right. And speaking of Scott, Scott his truck was coming in, and, he's, instead of like you're 8 hours away from me, he's not even 2 hours away from me. So I told him, I said, he was asking me, you'd given him my contact information, and I was talking to him about the truck, and I told him, I said, well, come down here and run it with me for a day, just so you can learn it hands on. Yep. And he did, and I tell you, Scott is an absolute beast on the back of a trash truck.
He was law enforcement too, man. He knows how to throw down.
Yeah, it was, and it's pretty entertaining. Let's see, there's Scott. There's 4 or 5 people I know that started within a month that I did around the same time, and all of them are former law enforcement. And this spreads out from here local. There's a few around me that started out at the same time, all the way to one in Alabama. That's a friend of mine that we talk probably just as much, if not more, than me and you do. And he just bought a 31-yard side load tandem axle truck. He has a town contract.
Wow.
He is now over 1,000 cans. He's actually bought out another company. He's actually about to build his own transfer station.
Oh, wow.
So he's absolutely killing it. And down there, I mean, he's primarily dirt roads. I mean, he's more rural than we are here. And it's just every day. I mean, we were talking on the phone this morning. He's like, yeah, I got 4 or 5 garbage cans to drop off today. And I'm like, I haven't gotten one. I appreciate it. But he's in extreme rural Alabama, and he is just absolutely killing it. And his only competition as well is Republic. So
Gotcha. Well, there's riches in the niches, they say. So
That's right. That's right.
that's pretty damn cool. Well, thank you very much, Sam. I am going to shut her down here. I got a hard stop in a few minutes, as I said, but I really appreciate you coming on. And as always, man, one piece of advice, we got to give them one thing. If these guys watching this want to get into this business, what's the best piece of advice you can give them?
Biggest advice is listen to your gut. You're going to get in a spot where you're about to spend more money than your house. And it's going to not make sense on paper. It's going to sound like the worst idea ever, but go with your gut. Your gut will be honest with you every time. And that, me and my dad are very cautious people. We are not the send it type people. But we have just hammered the gas down and hoped for the best. And it's just, I don't think we would be where we were if we had been completely cautious on everything.
I love it, man.
Yeah, it's we are cautious people. We, normally we make sure it makes sense before we do it. And there's been several times it's like that makes no sense whatsoever, but gut's telling me send it, so we did. That's my biggest piece of advice is just, and it was, there's that, and just be ready to work. Don't sit back and expect it to fall in your lap. You're going to have to fight for everything that you have. And I've done that. My dad's done that in his business for years. We've all fought for everything that we have. And so that's been our biggest thing, is just keep going. And there's times where you're exhausted. I've picked up trash in my compactor when I had COVID and a fever. You got to do what you got to do sometimes, but just keep pushing and it'll work out.
That's it, man. Well, I appreciate it, man. I also appreciate all you guys for tuning into this. As always, if you like this content, be sure to like and subscribe. Like I said before, we're trying to push quite a few of these videos out, tell the stories of local trash haulers all across America and the world, for that matter, if we get some international people. So appreciate it, man. And as for you guys, we'll see you on the next one.